It's a turbulent time. Our values are under attack and being challenged with so much coming at us every day. Focus Today with Perry Atkinson helps you sort it out to bring you hope and encouragement so you can stay alert.
The left is using everything they can through the judicial system to get former President Trump. Is it working?
No, it's not working. It's going to backfire. The case against Trump in New York is a joke. It's worse than a joke. It's a kind of Stalinist abuse of the legal system. Show me the man and I'll find you the crime. But I can't find the crime. I've been doing this for 60 years. I've been teaching 10,000 students, litigating 250 criminal appeals, writing probably 1,000 articles about the criminal justice system. I cannot find the crime. And if I can't find the crime, how do you expect the defendant to know what he's charged with?
I literally walked out of prison after midnight on, I guess it was Wednesday, and that night I was on the stage at the Republican National Convention talking about how the Democrats have weaponized our entire government to put folks like me in prison and folks like you in prison as well if they have their way, sir.
Dr. King, here we come up on your uncle's day of remembrance and all the good works that he's done. What's your take today, these many years later? What do you think we are today in the civil rights movement?
We began each year with the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday for many, many years. I was a state legislator in Georgia when that came about, and we were working very hard for that holiday. Also, we have the March for Life during the same time. So we kick off the year, human dignity, life from the womb to the tomb and beyond, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Now, people say, what would he say if he were here? Well, blessedly, we know what Jesus would say if he was standing right here because we have the Bible, right? We know exactly what God would say. And with humans, when they document their thoughts or their dreams and visions, like Abraham Lincoln, with the Gettysburg Address comes to mind, Martin Luther King Jr., we must learn to live together as brothers, and I'll add as sisters, and not perish together as fools. When we value the human personality, we won't kill anybody.
Focus Today, every weekday, an in-depth look and conversation with experts who have a finger on the pulse of what's going on in America and the world.
Chris, my friend, good to see you. How you doing, buddy?
Well, it's good to see you too, Perry. How I'm doing? I think I'm a lot like many Israelis here, kind of watching and waiting and praying about what's happening right now and anticipating a strike by Iran, Hezbollah, and many other, proxies, anticipating when it's going to come, if it's going to come, how bad it will be, how great it will be. We don't know, but a lot of people are waiting and watching and praying.
Well, Perry, it's a pleasure to be with you and be on Dove TV. Thanks so much for all that you do and for focusing on this issue. I think it's critically important that as Bible-believing Christians in this hour that we're praying for and standing with Israel and the Jewish people as we've seen this rise of anti-Semitism, not only in other countries, but very disturbingly here at home, where we're seeing what's happening on college campuses, Perry. It's so critical that believers stand with and pray for Israel, and that's what we are doing this coming Sunday.
Focusing on the day's events.
We watched, you've sung the song, God Bless the USA, numerous times, but at the RNC, there was a different spirit. There was something different there. And as you were singing that song and President Trump walks out on the stage, a couple things. Did you sense he was different?
Well, of course. I mean, with the assassination attempt on Saturday, we didn't even know if the former president, would be coming to the RNC at all. It was dramatic. He took some very confident steps into the hall. The voice of God, if you will, introduced him to the audience there, and my band was playing my music, and it was a moment when I had to wait until he got in place. and standing next to his son. And with him came the vice president, who had already been announced. That surprised me as well, because I thought that announcement would have come during the RNC, and it did not. It came prior. And so at the moment when he turned and faced me and I got eye contact with him, that's when I made the introduction and described what might have happened and didn't happen by the grace of God. And then I introduced him to the RNC and sang the rest of my song. So it was a big moment. It was very, very emotional.
Does Navy and Hunter have a relationship?
Over the last year, they have developed one over Zoom calls.
Okay. And do you and Navy have any relationship with the president and Dr. Jill?
No.
Well, I just want to say thank you. You handled it with grace and integrity, and I just want to say thank you for the way you handled it.
Well, it's everything we do. We try to be, my approach on things as a journalist and a media person and somebody that's dealt with a lot of political figures through the years as a journalist. Always be honest, just be yourself, just be consistent and true to your values, and that you're not really, things might not always go your way, but in the long run, they'll work out.
Perry Atkinson asks the questions that you want to know.
Do you think the American church has the Bonhoeffer grit to stand up against today's culture?
That is the question. That is the question, Perry. And you know what? There are people listening right now. If you're any kind of a Christian and you're listening to this, you are the American church. So the question is, do you have the Bonhoeffer grit? Do you have the courage? Do you have the heart to do what God is calling you to do? Many in the German church missed it. And that's the point of this book, Letter to the American Church. The point is that, we are going through what the German church was going through early on in the Nazi time, right? When we think of Hitler, we kind of think, oh, how could they not get that? Well, we have hindsight. We know where it went. But if you were a Christian in 1933, 34, you didn't know where this was going. You didn't know how long the Nazis would last. You had no idea. And Bonhoeffer, as a prophetic voice, God speaking through him, was trying to wake up the church and say, church, if you do not engage and stand against the evil that's rising with everything you have now, it will be too late. The Nazis are taking over. They're infiltrating the church. They're certainly infiltrating the culture, but they're infiltrating the churches. They're silencing the churches day by day. If you don't fight now, you won't have an opportunity.
Where do you think the faith community is in this pushback?
This is a very important topic for me. I'm a devout and committed Christian. Jesus Christ is King and Lord of my life. Right back here, actually, I have the 10 Commandments right there. And so the faith community has been lackluster and largely abysmal. I talk about this in the book. I mean, there are some amazing pastors out there. We also run TPUSA Faith, and there's some great leaders of faith. But the vast majority of Christians do not care about the country. They don't even vote. They aren't engaged on the local level, and they're rather passive. And I believe we will be judged because of that. We are commanded to do two things: to care about your nation, Jeremiah 29:7, which is demand the welfare of the nation that you are in, because your welfare is tied to your nation's welfare, and then to hate evil, Psalm 97:10, and that is in the command in the Hebrew. Let those of you who love the Lord hate evil. And so has the Christian community done a good job of those two things? No.
Patrick Jeffress, good to see you, friend. How are you?
I'm great, Perry. Good to see you as well.
Gosh, when do you sleep? You write 30 books. You're on TV. Every time I turn the channel on, there you are.
Well, thanks to you and the Dove. So thank you for having us.
You're jumping around on your stage. You're preaching like crazy. Man, you're all over the place.
I've got the post job for ADD. That's what my friends say.
Oh, is that it? Well, that helps, yeah. Not to mention the fact you probably put jalapeno on your cereal in the morning, right?
Well, I'm not above it. That's right.
Good to see you. All right, so why'd you take on the 10?
Well, I think the subtitle says it all: living and loving in a world that's lost its way. Regardless of people's political affiliation or their spiritual affiliation, I think everybody would agree we're living in a culture that has lost its way. We're looking for direction. We're having unprecedented chaos in our politics, our morality and spirituality. And Perry, I think back to what happened in 1863 in our country. It was the midst of the Civil War, and Abraham Lincoln issued his first proclamation calling for repentance and prayer. And in that proclamation, he asked the question, what is it that is tearing our nation apart? And he answered his own question by saying, we have forgotten God. And I would say that's the same diagnosis that's accurate for today's problems.
It's an hour you need to strengthen your faith and stay informed on the urgent issues coming at us.
For a time such as this, Focus Today is an important hour you need to see.
Thank you for considering Focus Today for the NRB Television Program of the Year Award.